Hi there. Today on this James the Bike Guy, we take a look at the Shimano Tiagra 4700 10-speed group set. This is the latest iteration of Shimano Tiagra, and it shares a lot of the technology with the previous generation of 105 and the current generation, with things like the extended arm on the front derailleur down to the real thin and slender lever shape to the Tiagra shifters. You can see that it's got a lot of trickle-down technology that really helps it be a great group set. Now, in this review, we're going to take a look at all of the parts here. You'll notice that we don't have brakes, but we do get the chance to take a look at the derailleurs, the cassette, crankset, as well as shifters. Now, to start off with the shifters, much like we were just talking about, you can see the shifters themselves are actually very similar to the current 11-speed 105 in feel. You've got the updated pull ratio on the brake levers, as well as kind of the shorter throw that you get on the new 105. So it is a really nice shifter. One of the things that you can tell is different are the hoods. They're made out of a little bit harder material, maybe not as soft. And the other thing is there's no real stimpling or anything like that for added grip. But if you take a look inside, the shifter mechanism looks very similar to what you get on the current 105, the 5800. Now, when we take a look at the derailleurs, the rear derailleur here, this happens to be the long cage, so this is able to go up to a 32 tooth rear cassette, so a nice climbing gear. But with this derailleur, you get some of the technology of the newer 105, but then it's got the pulleys and the cage of the older 105 here. But you do get that 32 tooth capacity on this long cage derailleur, and it definitely looks nice. Not quite the lightest though. With that, our front derailleur, this is where you can definitely see that Tiagra has gotten a pretty big upgrade. You've got the long lever arm, and that lever arm there allows you to really be able to get additional leverage over the front shift. And then the wear plate you can see inside is actually plastic. So this piece is replaceable. So that way, as you ride and no doubt are going to cross gear, you don't wear out the entire derailleur. You can actually replace that part. Now, taking a look at the crankset goes to their new asymmetric 4-bolt, but on the back side, you'll see you get the chain rings that are stamped and then have this kind of plastic insert that's in there, which is where you're getting all the shift ramps. So that's a way that they're able to make the shifting still quick and have great performance, but while being able to make it less expensive. Now, one thing that you miss on this Tiagra crankset, and you can definitely tell, is the hollow forged arms. So these are one-piece arms. This is solid. They do some of this cutout here for weight savings, but they are still quite heavy. Now, Shimano uses the 24mm spindle that's standard on all of their parts, and so this crankset uses the typical bottom brackets of just about any other Shimano crankset. Now, finally, we'll take a look at the cassette here. So this cassette is the 1132. You can see that it's pinned together, and all but the last two cogs are actually in one piece. So this is a pretty inexpensive way to make a cassette. One of the nice things about it being done this way is on the free hub body of your wheels, because this is all connected, it's unlikely to gouge the free hub body. But the penalty, of course, is these can make some creaking noises when one of these three pins starts to loosen up over a ton of mileage. And then the other thing is it does add some weight. Now, your final two cogs are separate, and let's go ahead and start to take a look at what all of this weighs. So we'll start with the cassette here. The cassette in an 1132 format comes in and weighs 398 grams. Next up, we've got our front derailleur, which weighs in at 91 grams. We've got our rear long cage derailleur, which weighs in at 277 grams. Then we have our front and rear Tiagra shifters that weigh in at 455 grams. And finally, our 175 millimeter crankset with a 5034 chainring set on it, and that weighs in at 926 grams. So that concludes the overall look at the Shimano 4700 Tiagra group set. Thanks for watching this James the Bike Guy. Leave a like and comment below to let me know what you think. Oh, and before you go, click the scale in the center to subscribe for more.